I'd like to thank New Hampshire DOT and ACEC New Hampshire for having VHB as a presenter today. We're here to talk about a challenging, exciting, and frankly, it was quite a fun project for VHB, the Kelley Square Improvement Project. As with any great project, it starts with a great team. MassDOT was our client and is always a great partner, but they showed an incredible amount of commitment given the expedited schedule of this project. J.H. Lynch was our contractor. Success of any project involves a great design, but often hinges on a great contractor. In this case, we had both. The City of Worcester was an active and invested participant and supported us throughout, participating in almost daily meetings. VHB also had a number of great sub-consultants, including Regina Villa Associates for public outreach, Kelley Enterprises for scheduling, and BR&A for street lighting. I'm Don Cooke, VHB's Transportation Service Leader for New England, and I served as the project director. And with me today is Tracie Lendhardt, who served as VHB's project manager for this Kelley Square Improvement Project. For those who aren't familiar, Kelley Square is a complex area of 7 intersecting roadways in the heart of Worcester. It's incredibly close to I-290 and its interchange off-ramps with Vernon Street. It has an active business and neighborhood groups and communities. For decades, Kelley Square served as a badge of honor. We heard time and time again how it was part of the local driving test. The theory going, if you could traverse through Kelley Square and survive, you were able to drive just about anywhere else in the state. It has a notable crash history, services high traffic volumes in excess of 40,000 vehicles a day, and it provided little to no multimodal accommodation. This did start as primarily a safety project, but it turned into so much more than that. As I noted, Kelley Square has been at or near the top of the highest crash locations within Massachusetts for years. There were over 400 crashes in and around the square between 2013 and 2016. You can see from this table, all different types of crashes were recorded, including a significant number of non-motorist bike and pedestrian crashes. So we often use video of existing conditions to try and help convey the issues to the public. Most of the immediate stakeholders had just gotten used to the situation or actually felt like there was nothing wrong. Obviously, as you can see here, there are some issues. Little to no delineation for traffic movements, long queues on many approaches throughout the day, and as you can see by the 2 brave souls at the bottom of the screen on their bicycles, little to no multimodal accommodation. There were certainly many things unique about Kelley Square, and the team, including MassDOT, the City of Worcester, VHB, and our partners, brought a number of innovative solutions and applications in completing this project. From the onset, MassDOT realized the need for a robust, comprehensive, and inclusive stakeholder engagement process. For decades, people have been searching for a solution to Kelley Square and had been unable to come to a consensus. As I noted, we were fortunate to have an engaged business community and a number of neighborhood groups that were well-formed and very active. We were also fortunate to have been recognized during the design phase for our outreach efforts in winning the Jane Jacobs and the Wu Award for Public Outreach. The engagement process was about building consensus from day one. It started with the development of concept alternatives. We developed numerous concept alternatives for consideration, including typical traffic control measures such as signalization, traditional roundabout designs, and a number of hybrid roundabout solutions, many of which involve potential street reversals on the one-way intersecting streets. We also developed evaluation criteria, but we developed that criteria with the community and the stakeholders. We let them decide what was important to them in terms of addressing the Kelley Square situation. We then let the community score and rank the alternatives. And as I noted, from the beginning, it was about building consensus from day one. That robust outreach and engagement process led to the selection of a hybrid roundabout as the preferred alternative, the first to be constructed in Massachusetts. Kelley Square itself fit well with the non-standard peanut design. and our design applied roundabout principles to the unique geometry of Kelley Square. We felt it also delivered on stakeholder requests to keep Kelley Square weird and to do as much as needed, but as little as possible. We used 3D modeling to help the public envision the proposed changes. As the first hybrid location in Massachusetts, we were unable to point out other examples that people could go see to better understand what it would look like and how it would operate. The model allowed people to visualize the hybrid as well as its operations. We have heard since many times how closely the model depicted what ultimately was constructed. Given the uniqueness of the design, we also wanted to prove to ourselves and continue to demonstrate to the public that the hybrid was the right solution. In April of 2019, we mocked up a full version of the hybrid in a local parking lot in Worcester for an implementation test. We used that setup to test the horizontal geometry of large trucks, including WB-67s, the largest fire apparatus from the City of Worcester Fire Department, and city buses to confirm that we had a design that would work for all. In fact, things went so well that day that we had extra time, and we set up various lane closure scenarios, which helped us understand some of the initial ideas related to construction staging.
Thank you, Don. My name is Tracie Lendhardt from VHB. I am the design project manager for this project. The Kelley Square project certainly has added value to the engineering profession. The Kelley Square project is featured in the new Mass DOT guide for the roundabout design that was issued this past September. The peanut roundabout is shown in the new guide as an example of an alternative design option. I would like to talk about a few unique features that were implemented in the design and ultimately in the construction of the peanut roundabout. Typically, roundabouts discourage pedestrian movements to and from the center island. But with Kelley Square, there's a large pedestrian desire line between the north side and the south side of the intersection. It was unrealistic to expect pedestrians to walk all around the peanut, so preventing access through the center of the roundabout meant cutting off access to destinations. So we, the designers, needed to rethink the idea of allowing pedestrian access through the center of the roundabout, but we wanted to make the crossings as safe as possible. This was done by implementing high visibility decorative crosswalks and the use of RFBs. We also proposed the use of Danish-style offset crosswalks. Another feature is the use of vane striping throughout the roundabout. Typically, vane pavement markings are used at the approaches to multi-lane roundabouts to better define vehicle alignment into the roundabout. For Kelley Square, vane striping was provided within the circulating roadway to keep vehicles within their designated lanes. It also gives the impression that the effective width of the roadway is narrower than it actually is. Kelley Square was under a very tight schedule for design and construction, but the project didn't sacrifice public engagement or quality in order to meet this expedited timeline. The future value for Kelley Square is that realizing that a well-thought-out project like this can be done quickly with public participation. The Kelley Square project certainly had more complexities than just the schedule and the public engagement pieces. I will touch on just a few of them. There are 7 intersecting streets at this location. Several of those roadways are one-way streets, both to and from the intersection. Reversing the directionality of the one-way streets brought other challenges with access to businesses, fire truck and school bus accommodation, and corner turning radii. All of those needed to be incorporated into design. As you can see from the photo on the left, there was on-street parking within the intersection that needed to be addressed also. The close proximity of the I-290 interchange also added another challenge. Not only did we need to think about the impacts to traffic, but there are several other elements that brought complexity to the project. The historic Blackstone Canal runs directly underneath the central island of the peanut. There's a cobble roadway just below the asphalt surface. All of the city's utilities are underground. There are no overhead utilities, so there's a maze of underground infrastructure, which just added more complexity. The physical construction of the roundabout itself was complicated. How to build in this dense urban area all while maintaining traffic and access to the businesses had to be thought out. The close proximity of the buildings to the roadway. Not only was the design on an expedited schedule, but the construction was also. J.H. Lynch had 13 months to complete the construction of this project. For a project this size, construction would have taken 2 to 3 years. As always, it's important to make sure the client and the owner of the facility are happy. This is a very nice quote from Barry Lorian, the Highway Director from MassDOT District 3. We believe this project was successful because the client, the city, the local businesses, and the residents were engaged from day one. Alan Fletcher is a local resident and developer in the area. He is the owner of the Worcester Public Market that you will see later in the presentation. The local stakeholders stayed engaged throughout the entire process, from planning to design and throughout construction. And now I'll turn it back to Don.
At VHB, we're also proud that the project incorporated many social, economic, and sustainable development considerations. In addition to addressing the safety and operational concerns for vehicles, the project had a primary focus as well on increasing the level of multimodal accommodation. First, with regards to pedestrians. The square previously consisted of extremely long crosswalks, many in excess of 100 feet. To further complicate matters, those long crosswalks provided little to no refuge areas for pedestrians. And given the lack of traffic delineation, pedestrians had to be aware of potential traffic approaching from multiple directions. The hybrid design addressed all of those issues. First off, shorter crosswalks. No single pedestrian crossing move was more than 2 lanes or about 32 feet in length. And where an overall crossing was in excess of that, substantial refuge areas were being provided. Equally important, pedestrians not only had to be concerned about traffic approaching from a single direction. In addition to these features, we also incorporated high visibility crosswalks, RRFBs at all 2-lane crossings, and a raised crosswalk at Madison Street to provide a level of traffic calming for vehicles entering the square. In addition to pedestrian enhancements, the project also paid particular attention to enhancing the environment for cyclists. We committed from the beginning to providing the highest level of accommodation within the constraints of the project area. We ended up with a combination of treatments. The majority of the project area, shown in red, provided a shared use path, a 10-foot wide area for pedestrians and bicyclists, delineated both in signage and also medallions on the shared use path surface. We provided a separated bike facility in blue along Harding Street where bicyclists were forced to ride contraflow to the one-way Harding Street operation. This represents the first separated bike facility in Worcester. We also used on-road bike lanes on many approaches to transition to the current bicycle accommodation as shown in yellow. The bicycle enhancements within Kelley Square also allowed us to build out the local and regional networks. In conjunction with other city projects, the Kelley Square project provided connectivity to both the East Coast Greenway and Blackstone River Greenway regional networks. It also provided a key link in the local bicycle network. Tracie?
Thank you, Don. Worcester's economy is growing. Kelley Square is just down the street from the new Polar Park, the home of the Woo Sox. This entire area is undergoing a redevelopment with new shops, restaurants, cafes, and the new marketplace. Several sustainable elements were incorporated into the design and the construction of Kelley Square. The use of landscaping was important. The placement of street trees for shading and the use of light-colored concrete will all reduce the heat island effect. The vegetation species are all native, drought and salt tolerant, and are low maintenance. For the overall project, there was a reduction of impervious area. LED lighting was used for the street lights. Bike racks will be installed as part of this project to promote bicycle usage. Graded sidewalk treatments were used to indicate where the Blackstone Canal runs underneath the roundabout. And the freestanding granite wall in the center of the island is made of recycled granite block. Some of the stones are from the Blackstone Canal, and the rest are from old bridge abutments found at a granite salvage yard. Here are a few photos showing the progression of the construction. The first photo shows the existing conditions of the intersection. The contractor implemented the general shape and the traffic flow of the roundabout almost immediately. One lane of circulating traffic was implemented during construction to give the contractor a work zone around the inside of the peanut. Once the top course of the pavement was installed and the pavement markings were in place, the roundabout began to operate as a 2-lane roundabout. People adapted very quickly to 2 lanes, although there were a few people that refused to give up the on-street parking. This concludes our presentation. We would be happy to answer any questions.